And this is the card that I pulled for Trump and his energy. Nothing. Hello, this is Carrie O'Donnell from Tarot Soul Writer. And if you would like a personal reading with me, please go to my website, tarotsoulwriter.com. I would like you to press in the white bar, book a tarot reading, and then from there you can see the readings that I offer, and it will connect you to Square Scheduling, where you can book your reading. I would love to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and supporting me in my work. I know that there has been some confusion about where to click if you would like a personal reading with me, and many people signed up for the 2020 project in error. If you just press book a tarot card reading, you should be just fine. As for the people who said, hey, 2020 project, what's that? Well, here's my very, very short explanation. I will link my 2020 video down below this one. You might want to check that out for a lengthier explanation. I am going to weave together your 2020 stories, what you went through in that year, how it became a transitional year for us, how we came together as a spiritual community. Some of us actually created YouTube channels. Some of us accelerated our YouTube channels, and others of us were viewers. And we were able to find people of like mind and heart and to create a family. I kind of like to think of us as a soul family. So this is going to be our story, and I am looking for volunteers to be in that documentary. If you are interested in offering your story, all you have to do is go to that pink icon on my website and schedule an appointment. We'll just talk, and it just becomes a conversation. And I'm going to try to make it so everybody has a piece in the documentary, however small, because I still have to narrow it all down so that we have 2 hours or less of footage so that we can actually watch it. There's part of me who feels like there's just so much to say that maybe I'll have to divide it into 3 segments and kind of watch it like a Netflix series. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it comes out. But I'm going to continue the interviewing process through the springtime, right through till March. That's my goal, because I know there are so many more people I need to connect with. And then after that, I will shut down the interviewing process. And then I'm just going to focus on the narrative and piecing it all together. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fabulous. Thank you for all of you who have donated your time. So now I'm going to read my September 2024 reading. And I call this reading Leaders Who Rest, A New Generation Rises. And the reason I say leaders that rest is I felt that this would be a huge timeout for both Zelensky and for Biden. Which is very interesting. So this is what I got. Movement. The transition begins. All is shifting in the House and Senate. I get revolving doors. People leaving, resigning, walking away. Those who are left detached from the past as if they were never part of it, rewriting history again. So even though in August I felt a big shakeup in the House and Senate, this seems to be continuing in September. I feel like there's going to be more resignations, like I said, maybe some prosecutions, some trials that are going on. It's still a very hectic month. And as truth comes out, as people are found clearly guilty of certain things, the Republicans who are only guilty of turning their backs will turn their backs again. They're just going to be like, who? I didn't know him. Oh, I didn't know. It's going to be one of those things. And that's their way of rewriting their history. It's going to be sad. At this point, it's going to be save yourself. The Republicans and the election. Now, in July, when they should have had a Republican convention, I wasn't getting much on it. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but I was just getting chaos and what do we do? And more of the sound bites that I was picking up were more about Biden. August seems like the Democrats were having some sort of a convention because I got a lot of different sound bites. It's September that I'm actually getting what feels like, I'll just call it a Republican gathering, because they may have had a convention and maybe the chaos that I was feeling was just the fact that those delegates were split. You know, who are we going to give the nomination? Because I did see that this party was going to split. This could have been one of those old time types of conventions where you get people on the second ballot, the third ballot. I think there was just a lot going on there. And if they did decide, oh, maybe Trump's our guy, I do feel like there was so much happening with him in June and July, health-wise, that they might have painted themselves in a corner. And what I'm feeling is that in September, they might have some sort of a reconvening to figure out who would be their nominee. So if they decided it was going to be Trump after all that, they have to rethink everything. Now, I don't know how this works in reality. For those of you who are historians or really study the Constitution, maybe you could tell me in the comments exactly how something like that would go down. I don't know if we would call this a convention or some sort of reconvening in order to come up with a new nominee. So what I wrote down was, Republicans are walking away from debates. What is left to defend? There are prosecutions of Republicans this month who were part of January 6th. There is a moment when some Republicans take a step backward and reflect on who they are and what they have become. I do get justice here. I found it interesting that I got people walking away from the debates. I know that some key presidential debates would show up in September normally, so it could be that because they need a new nominee, those things are pushed back. Like, we're not ready to debate. We have to come up with some agreement for who's going to be our nominee. This is going to be unprecedented. Like, there's nothing in the history, our recent history anyway, where something like this has happened. So I think the Republicans are just trying to figure out where do we go from here before they can commit to any kind of debate. Then I picked up Ivanka and Jared. I wrote, I get husband and wife upside down. Ivanka and Jared are in the hot seat in September and are dealing with indictments or court appearances. Ivanka seems to get off in some way because of her children. Deals are made. I do believe she divorces Jared. Around this divorce, I got the word hedonism. This announcement may come by the end of the month. Hedonism. There are a lot of ways I could imagine this word could be relevant to Ivanka and Jared. So I'm just going to keep it there, and we'll just use our imaginations until the time comes. But I think a lot's going to come out that will be in Ivanka's favor, both for a divorce, and I think she's going to use the children card because of maybe what he's being accused of to maybe not have as severe a sentence. Then I got Nikki Haley and this so-called emergency convention. I wrote, I get an image of Nikki Haley. She has waited patiently, and alas, she finally toasts her cups. It's kind of like I get that feeling, hooray, like a toast. Then the rug is pulled right from under her. I didn't expect this, she thinks. And I get sadness from her and a feeling of loss. There still may be some expectation that the Republicans would choose her. But I see a man, a white man, someone who would protect the money. I got an invitation for her to join him, possibly as VP. At the very least, join me in the fight. So I get him sort of holding out his hand. Come on, Haley, come with me. We'll be partners in this. And I get Haley thinking, I did not want to be the bride in this marriage. I wanted to be the groom. I don't get her making a decision to stand with this man. I just don't get the decision. So I'm not sure if she does or doesn't. Maybe that shows up in the next month. Maybe she has to make a decision. If I had to call it based on what I was feeling, I would say no, she doesn't stand with this man. I felt it was beneath her. I felt like this should be mine. Dare I say it, I had sort of a Hillary Clinton kind of feel when she lost, say, to Obama. Like, this nomination should be mine. I was next in line. I'm the one with a certain amount of delegates. This guy doesn't have that. What's going on here? So it was very strange. I don't even, part of me is saying, am I even right about this? It seems that Haley would get the nomination. Maybe I'm wrong. There seems to be something I'm picking up behind the scenes, and I'm getting some sort of a man because he will protect the money. So we'll see what happens, and maybe this will change because I felt like there was some unease in the energy, but I'm just going to put it out there that was what I was getting right now. Then I heard, we must move forward, but we are not trusting anybody. I hear, we are defeated. So it's like, let's go, let's move forward, Republicans. Let's put the past behind us. We're forming a new party. We're clearing out the old and we're looking at the new. That the people they've just been sandblasted. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can trust government. I don't know if I really want to vote. That's the feeling I was getting. There are so many regrets from past decisions made. The majority of Americans embrace new opportunities. They want stability. So does the wealthy. At this point, they need stability for their money to grow. Even Republicans want stability. We have had enough of upheaval. So I'm getting a combination of voices here. It is both the people who are in charge who are saying, okay, we have to give people in the party, if we're going to exist at all the way we are now, call them the new Republican Party, those who were not arrested. It's pretty much what's left. And I'm not MAGA. Where are we going to go from here? We have to move forward. We have to give the people what they want. And they want stability. And the wealthy people and the donors, they want stability too. So that's what's going to be sold. Trump. I'm getting memories around a child who needs and wants his mother. I was successful. I built an empire. I said that in a high voice because I almost felt like it was a child who was saying it, even though it was Trump. Picture Trump in his body, but a little child's voice came out. I was successful. I built an empire. That's how it felt. You were weak, angry, all desires unleashed, out of control, spy. It was like I was hearing an argument within his soul. Then I heard family reunion. I was betrayed, I hear. Trump is shocked. Realization, a rude awakening. And then I heard, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Ow!
So there is some sense that he's looking now at everything that happened and realizing that he was betrayed by a family member. I didn't get a sense of who that family member was. I'll be honest, I felt like it wasn't just one, because they said family reunion, as if there were more than one family member. And just that rude awakening, wow, They all stabbed me in the back. I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming. Then I got a very strange image. I got the Egyptian rituals for the dead. Picture the ancient Egypt, and you're seeing like the walls. They have painted the process for how they prepared, for example, a king for death, and they would mummify him, and then they would place urns. And I saw Trump as if he was an Egyptian pharaoh being mummified, and all of his stuff being put all around him, like they were preparing him. And I thought that was so strange. I even wrote down, are they preparing his body for display? Because it kind of felt that way, like we're going to make him look like he was in life. We are going to prepare him for his journey. So I'm not really sure why I saw that, but I did get a sense that he was being mummified. So we'll see what that means. Then I wrote, there will be messages and news about Trump. I get stolen goods returned, covert operations revealed. But with him, I get nothing. Just nothing. Just nothing. Now I use Andrea's cards from Lilac Lantern, and this is the card that I pulled for Trump and his energy. Nothing. Just blank. That's literally how it felt. Blank. So this is what I'm thinking. I know that a lot of other readers get Trump going right to the end. They could be right. I could be wrong. But I have to say, as I go through each month, I keep getting reinforcements that he's not here. He has either crossed over already in the month of September, or he's in some sort of state that would be like a coma or vegetative state, or really lost with dementia, some way where his body would be here, but his mind is not really here. Because I do have a sense of him having some sort of review of what's happened, as if he's looking, as if he's examining, as if he's trying to figure things out, what has happened. So either that's happening crossed over, or he's doing something outside of the body. And until that energy changes, until that path changes, I'm going to go with it. Right now, I think my guides are showing me the most likely path, and this is the one they're sharing with me. Because I'm in September 2024, I have less of a context of what's happening in the world. So I did a little deep dive on each country, just a few extra cards, so I can get a handle on what was happening with the rest of the world while all this was going on. For Russia, I got Russia was still in bondage. I got the Devil card. I don't feel Putin is there, but I do feel like they're locked down in some way. I literally got bondage, chains. That means they're not free. They're not free to roam. The people are not free to express themselves. They are still under some sort of control. Then I also got the swords of the young are up, and the young leader waits in the wings still. I had gotten this previous in May, that there was going to be some interim leader, and they were like a stand-in for the king. So it would be like, okay, this leader's here, but when this young person comes of age in a way that they can take control, they will. Now, when I say young person, I kind of want to clarify that, because I don't mean like a 20-something-year-old person. This could literally be someone between the ages of 35 and 55, somewhere in that zone. But compared to leaders of the past, that person may appear young. Even though that person may be very learned, that person could have a lot of world experience, could be very articulate, all of that. So I'm not getting someone that young in experience. It's more about the energy that person, even though they might only be, say, 45, are bringing in some sort of new, young, fresh energy. They are connecting to younger people. So that seems to be what's going on in Russia. And they're not ready for it yet. In September, they're still trying to work things out within their own country. They were in the worst shape, I feel, compared to the different areas of the world I was looking at. North Korea. Now, North Korea has been popping up and causing a lot of hoopla. We're not going to do any more reunification talks with South Korea, missiles, gearing up, all of it. And I wrote, despite all the rhetoric with North Korea rejecting unification talks, I feel in September unity talks begin again. The dictator retreats. I see a young man who is speaking up or rising in North Korea. Beware, Kim Jong-un. So again, can I just clarify? I know Kim Jong-un has a daughter. One could make a case she's next in line. And I wasn't feeling female. Again, almost like the Nikki Haley. I was feeling a man, a younger man. Again, maybe someone between the ages of 35 and 45, somewhere in that zone. And I didn't get them public. It's not like the world knew about this person yet, but I feel him under the surface. I feel like he could be a leader who may rise at a later date. So again, this idea of this young new energy rising, even in North Korea, the Middle East. I know there's so much going on there, especially now with what's going on with Iran. Please send your prayers out so that we can get through these conflicts without blowing things up. I think we will. I got February was going to be a difficult month, and we're rounding into February. I got domestic terrorist disturbances. I've got a lot of ups and downs. And it did feel very chaotic and maybe even a little scary. And I'm wondering if between what's going on with our border, what's going on with Iran, these are the things that are stirring up energy that made me feel so uncomfortable. But here's the good news. I was getting that all of those things would be contained. I wasn't getting a giant war. I wasn't getting a civil war in our own country. We might have some disturbances. We might have some things that make us uncomfortable, but we seem to get through it. And I'm holding on to that. And I should be getting more on the Middle East, but I just wasn't. So I asked. And I saw the tree of life, which is very interesting. It's like almost a desert environment, and I saw the tree of life. I heard Egypt. Then I got sadness and loss, just like that mourning of how many we have lost, how many loved ones we have lost. But then I got Palestine and Israel are trying to negotiate land ownership. Egypt is somehow involved with these negotiations. So I feel like they're still in conflict. I didn't get whatever was going on completely over. But I did get things settled down a little bit. Almost like, okay, let's start talking. Let's start negotiating. It's possible that Egypt stands up as neutral ground, maybe a meeting place for some sort of peace talks. So stay tuned with that. Then I asked about Ukraine. Ukraine will be in the news again. I get a new leader, someone who can see the war to the end. He seems like a real warrior or soldier. Zelensky is still here, but he's more the figurehead, the diplomat, rather than the warrior. He is tired, so very tired. Ukraine is taking back territory and a war's conclusion is being negotiated. There is still a back and forth. So the Ukraine conflict, I didn't get over. But I definitely got Ukraine with the upper hand. At this point, if we're not giving money, our allies are giving money and weapons and whatever they need in order to end this. I feel like Russia knows they are not in a position to do anything else. They're retreating a bit, but they're trying to save face because I don't think that they have the same leader at this point. I don't get Putin here after the month of May. Like by June, I get Putin exiting in some way. I just get Zelensky burnt out. Like he's been going straight on. And I know he's been both like the president, like the leader, and also really working with the army, really working on the war end. And I feel like he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, so he retreats a little bit. I think he's the guy giving the inspiration now. He's the guy, vocalizing unity and diplomacy, etc. But there's some other leader that's basically in charge of the war end. So maybe this is one of his generals. I'm not really sure how that would work. That I feel like this person will have a lot of power. It's just he doesn't want anything to do with the war end anymore, like meaning front line kind of stuff. Another leader who's taking a time out or resting in the month of September. Then I did get some weather events. Vacations may be canceled in tourist spots in the south because of flooding, most likely caused by huge coastal storms like hurricanes. I know it's hurricane season in September. You don't need to be a psychic to predict that Florida might get hit by a hurricane in September. It's pretty common. I probably have a good 80% chance of predicting that. It's funny because as I say that, I wasn't necessarily getting hurricanes. I made that assumption because it's hurricane season. What they showed me was the flooding. I'm going to assume that it's because of some major storms, unless there's another reason that something could flood in September. It could be another type of major storm, but I do get flooding. Specifically, I do see southern Florida, and I heard Palm Beach. I get Mar-a-Lago with flood damage. They did show me that. And I chuckled a little, I'm not going to lie. There's going to be something symbolic about that. And I want to go back to my previous videos where I kept getting him as water boy, the puddle that comes back and flowing all around, lots of water around Trump. And I just think it's funny that they showed me Mar-a-Lago with flood damage. I get an image of cruise ships docked. I see sea turtles. The date September 2nd, the day of the new moon, will be potentially a heightened time for flooding. And then I wrote, make sure you are prepared. So if you are in a coastal community, especially down south, I know I'm preaching to the choir, you'd be prepared for hurricane season anyway. Just have some heightened awareness of what to do in case of some major flooding. And then finally, I got Biden. I see the image of an old king and a child. The old king must pass on his wisdom to the child, keep traditions and values alive. The old man learns something new as well from the child. It is time for change. I feel, of course, that the old man is representative of Biden. The child could be even representative. It might not just be the youth, although it could, of America. But the child could also represent this new America, this new American beginning. Let's pass on what we can from the past, the stuff that worked, the values that we had. I mean, there's a lot from the past that did work and has been working for over 200 years. But there's also a twist. Like, I learned something new from the child, from this whole experience, from the youth. There are some things that need to change. I get Biden exhausted. And I wrote, I get Biden taking a time out from campaigning. He needs to rest for the next push. And I get Kamala stepping up. They're going to downplay this because they certainly, so close to the voting, wouldn't want him to come across as weak in any way. But it could be he was struggling. He might struggle with something. I remember when Hillary was going into the home stretch around the same time of year, and she got pneumonia. I don't know if you remember that. And she took like a day to rest, and everyone gave her a hard time. Like, oh my God, she can't be president. She had pneumonia and she took one day to rest. I don't know if anyone out there has ever had pneumonia, but usually you need more than one day to rest. It feels something like that. Like, I'm not saying Biden will be sick, but he might be really run down. And I think they're going to play it off that he's just going to, like, maybe you see his schedule loosen up a little bit. He's not everywhere. They just lighten his load. They give him some downtime. I get this sense that he needs the rest. And it's one of those things, maybe they're trying to avoid the Hillary thing with pneumonia. Like, if this guy continues on the schedule at his age, we're in trouble. This guy's going to collapse right at the finish line. So I feel like there's some sort of strategy here. Let's let him rest just a little bit. Kamala, it's time for you to step up. And you need to carry the burden a bit. And then we'll get him out there for the final leg of the race. Kamala Harris. Now, she did show up in my session. And I wrote, Kamala is honing new skills on the campaign trail. She has thrown more responsibility, moving among the young, including college campuses. This is the world we are building. Be humble, teach, give of oneself. Inspire the new generation to be like you. Balance the past with the future. I heard this, and I feel it as part of her message, for example, to young people on college campuses, but also as part of Spirit's message to her. It's time for you to inspire a new generation. It's time for you to teach, to give of oneself. You are the bridge between the past and the future. I kind of saw Kamala as that bridge. I'm not going to lie. Maybe there's always been an argument about whether she's a Gen Xer because she's technically the last year of the baby boom generation, but she has more in common with elder Gen X experiences. And I always felt Gen X was a bridge generation, very small, but always bridged from the old ways because they had the old ways in childhood, and the new ways is they had to grow up with the new technologies. And so I'm thinking, because I kept feeling like she's the bridge. She's the bridge between Biden and she's the bridge between those kids on the college campus. She's the one in the middle, and she has to walk both worlds. I feel like that skill of being able to do that well is really going to be honed in the month of September. For all the people who would be like, where's Kamala? I haven't seen her in a while. Is she doing anything? Is she saying anything? Well, I feel like this is the month where she's really stepping into the spotlight. Then I saw blue water, possibly representing the coming blue wave. I wrote, the earth is upside down, but we are moving forward. Karma comes back around. The final message seems a bit choppy. I'm just going to read it as I heard it. I just pieced it together this way. Intuition, empathy, and patience. Plant the seeds of love and connection for the new moon. Angels are gathering and preparing us for the next battle or transition. Choose well. It's a bit confusing. I was trying to piece things together so it would flow or make more sense. Kept asking for more information, but I got that very choppy. I think what they're saying is just hold on to your intuition, have empathy for others, and be patient in this month. It's as if September things are being set up for the next push. They want us to stay connected. They want us to keep loving. There's something weird with the new moon. Not only was it a potential time for a heightened sense of flooding to come with weather, but there's something around the new moon, which I believe is September 2nd, right at the beginning of the month, that feels like a shift. So we'll have to pay attention to that moon energy. We are getting ready for the big transition, and they could mean the election, which is going to push us off into another stage in our country's history. Choose well. I think they mean vote. Choose well. Vote well. Vote for the best candidate. You want to vote for your future. And I do believe that's what they meant there. That is my September 2024 reading. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Welcome to new subscribers. It's so great to have you on board. I love and appreciate you. Love your comments, love your support, and I do see you all as family. Don't forget, sign up for that 2020 project if you're interested in being in my documentary. And as always, it's a pleasure reading for you. Bye-bye.